This week in Forza Horizon 6, there's once again nothing new in the festival playlist. However, the returning 20-point prize, the Ram SRT-10, returns from the older motorsport games, the likes of Motorsport 4, so it really hasn't been in the series for a very long time, and I've never driven it in a Forza game. And being the SRT-10, it's fitted with a V10 engine, so it's actually a rather interesting truck. Even if it is technically recycled. As well as that, if you have the Ultimate Edition, or more specifically the Car Pass, this week you can get the Skyline GT-R 40th Anniversary, which is essentially a limited run 4-door version of the R33 GT-R, which is very, very cool. So here is the Dodge SRT-10. A 10-cylinder pickup truck. It's rear-wheel drive. It's one of these kind of sports pickup trucks, a bit like the SVT Lightning or things like that, rather than these big off-roady style ones, which is a bit of an odd thing that we kind of seem to get a few of in the early 2000s. Of course, the playlist has been themed around decades, so this week is all about the cars from the 2000s. Yeah, this thing, it isn't slow stock. It's B-class, so it's not a supercar, but for a truck it's pretty good. And, you may notice, it's in the modern muscle category, which is weird, because a lot of things newer than this are in categories called retro. But anyway, no prizes for guessing what the V10 engine in this is from. There are of course some engine swaps, including a slightly newer Viper engine with 140 more horsepower. You can make it into a more usable truck by doing that. But more importantly, there are some aero parts, which I've been told are from something called a Daytona kit, which makes that have an even bigger front chin, as if it wasn't big enough already, and you can put that on it. That seems necessary. Might as well do the full kit if we're doing that. Look at that! Now it just needs to be a more interesting colour, I think. I do already have a colour in mind. We're getting there. There you go, Plum Crazy, the only suitable Dodge colour for any Dodge that I own, I suppose. Apart from having a very cool engine, and looking like that, I'm really not sure what I'm going to use this for, though. Ridiculous engine. Looks pretty mad, but yeah, not really a usable thing, even in a Forza game. Wow, that really is a sea of grey plastic in there, isn't it? But yeah, it is more or less still stock, apart from the visual modifications, but sorry, 500 horsepower is kind of enough. Skyline time, and here it is. From the back it does look a bit odd, because it's kind of more like a, I think, more standard model of Skyline Saloon. From the front, it is literally just an R33 Skyline by the look of it. But yeah, then it's got more doors, and the back sort of, yeah, it looks like a more standard Skyline Saloon model. Has bucket seats in the front. It's reasonably fast, actually. Well, I mean, it should be, but it is quite old, so this is very cool, though. There are engine swaps, but why would you? I mean, you can put an LFA engine in it if you really want to, but there are some aero mods. For example, there's the top secret front bumper, which is cool, but basically what they've done, because it's got the same front end as the Skyline R33 that we already have, they've put the front bumper on, because they could just copy that straight across, but then there's no matching rear bumper or side skirt, so it's kind of redundant. So I'm going to leave that alone. What is rather cool, though, that you might have already spotted, is there's a Nismo option here to effectively put the wing from the other R33 onto it, which looks very cool. That kind of makes it look a little bit more like a GT-R rather than just Skyline Saloon. There are a few manufacturer colours for this car. There's the silver that you get given it in. There's the terrible recreation of Midnight Purple that the game does. There's a darker silver and a white. So what I'm going to do is paint it in this Midnight Purple that I made. There's your numbers if you want to recreate it. But that looks much better. I have also put some different wheels on it, in that sort of gold colour. TE37s, of course, because they just work on a Skyline, as well as dropping the suspension, upping the power slightly, because a lot of these cars from this era have more than the 276 horsepower that they officially have. So I've upgraded the power slightly, put some nice wheels on it, and made it purple. And look at that. Outside, this looks absolutely fantastic. And listen. It just idling is... I do love that cars have a sort of idle noise in this game now, but this particularly it's noticeable on. But again, potentially I could find a tune for this and try it in some racing, which I might in a minute. But both of these, this and the Ram, they're just very, very cool vehicles. So yeah, I'm much more pleased with the playlist and Car Pass this week. There are some cool cars. And then next week in the Car Pass we've got Toyota Corolla, which is going to be very, very cool. The same can't really be said for next week's playlist though, which has a Mercedes AMG GT-R, which is... it's a good car, I like it, but it's not new. And most of the rest of what's in this playlist is already available in-game. That model of RS4, the 2018 one, I believe is also a new to Horizon 6 vehicle. So, yeah, there are a couple of cars to unlock next week. Toyota Corolla in the Car Pass, but there are once again a couple of K1Z Bard tunes. There's a Purist A Road one, and there's a Purist A Road with the Nismo wing, which sounds better. Just because Nismo wing is necessary. So hopefully this goes better than last week. So I've joined in time for the second race of the series. We're just waiting for it to start, but just driving this here, power-wise and in the straights, it feels pretty quick, but we'll see how it does and whether my driving lets it down a bit. I guess the Honda is the car to beat. Good to see somebody else using this. Oh, the Skyline's gonna quit. No! That works, didn't it? Well, at least we've got 12 people in this one, although around this circuit, that could end poorly. You have to overtake more people in ghost mode at this track, because once you're unghosted, it's very difficult to work back past people. Yeah, that still wasn't very successful. It's raining and I'm starting more or less last. That's fast. That was better, but we spent most of the race stuck behind that Ferrari. Pole position around a track I'm more familiar with, probably. Don't go for it through there. Okay, well I've thrown that away. And there goes the dodge. Yeah, decidedly average. And the car is too. And as is traditional at this point, we've spawned in a roof. And I don't mean a modified 911. But yeah, the thing I'm finding with these tunes that are by people that know what they're doing in this game, let's say, I don't like how they feel on turn-in. I just don't feel confident on the cars. I think it's the way it's tuned to make them turn into the corners well, basically. But I just find the feeling of it a little bit odd at the moment still. I think it's to do with how this game handles braking and turning differently, which seems to be the biggest change in the handling. I think the way people tune to make cars fast in this game, I just don't like yet. Hopefully that's something I'll get more used to. But for now, I won't be using this for racing. So we can go back to this set of upgrades with the gold wheels. Anyway, I think that's that. Toyota Corolla next week.